Something that will surprise no one is that I am a huge dinosaur fan. I've loved the Jurassic Park series since it was made. I remember there was a game on Xbox and computer called Jurassic Park Operation Genesis where you could build your own Jurassic Park, and that love of building my own Jurassic Park has continued in the Jurassic World Evolution games. I think they're a lot of fun. I really like building simulators. That's a good idea for a video one day. I will do that. But in the meantime, we have dinosaurs. We have dinosaurs in movies, and these are all of the dinosaurs featured in the Jurassic World movies. Which are the best, which are the worst, which are the most interesting, and which ones get looked over? Now, we're going to start right here at the very beginning. It looks like this is actually a collection of dinosaurs. It looks like I see an Edmontonsaurus here. I think that there's a Parasaurolophus there in the background, but I'm going to assume this is the Edmontonsaurus. We are going to place this one. How interesting is it? How much fun is it to watch? And how powerful is it? So, in terms of these categories, I would say that the stampeding Edmontonsauruses are not very engaging. In terms of the movie itself, I would say, is it Corysaurus? I can't remember what it was called. But yeah, these dinosaurs in the stampede don't really add a lot to the story, don't add a lot to the narrative. They're not overly interesting, we're not overly engaged by them. It's something that we can easily pass by. So in the perspective of the movie itself, obviously these ones are not going to fall in. I would say there is something kind of fascinating about looking at these dinosaurs and realizing that, there's millions of years of evolution between all of these dinosaurs that just gets overlooked when we're watching the movie, and that's fine. So this is more of like a what-if scenario of if all of these dinosaurs were together in this place at this time doing this thing, what would they do? What would they be? How would they go? What would this... Things. Just things. So, in that perspective, though, I have to admit that the Gallimimuses do provide a little bit more complexity to the... Essentially, when they come out in the first movie, it's an interesting moment. They are there, but Gallimimuses in and of themselves are not an overly scary animal. They're not overly powerful. They're pretty much there to get ate, and they do get ate. So we have to consider that and keep them on the lower end of the spectrum. This is the Indominus Rex. I'm going to get right into this debate early, apparently. I did not like the Indominus Rex. I did not think it was an interesting dinosaur. I did not think it was fun or engaging or... Like, the Jurassic World series is obviously of lesser quality than the Jurassic Park series. And by Jurassic Park series, I mean the first Jurassic Park movie. In my opinion, well, if you've seen this, you probably know what my opinion of the Jurassic series is based off of my previous ranking. But, like, Jurassic Park is up here, Jurassic World is next, and then, like, everything else. But Jurassic Park 2, and then, like, maybe even Jurassic Park 3, and then Fallen Kingdom. And, well, Dominion's where it is. We keep this note in mind when we put the Indominus Rex. Even though it's overpowered, it's not as interesting or as much fun to watch. Do they take a concept and run with it? Yes, they run with it directly into the wall. So let's not dwell on that too much longer. The Tyrannosaurus Rex, obviously, prime candidate, prime villain, the fact that the Jurassic Park T-Rex gets a narrative arc, that's funny. Like, that's just funny. There's a lot there. It's a very interesting and engaging dinosaur design, and obviously it's probably one of the most popular dinosaurs of all time for a reason. I think this is called the Mesoplurus. I can't remember exactly. Doesn't provide much to do in regards to conflict in the series, but in terms of just being a really cool dinosaur design, it is. Giant underwater whale that tries to kill you. Can't really go wrong there. The Pachycephalosaurus. The Pachycephalosaurus is actually here twice. In regards to this one looks like it's the one from Jurassic Park 2. Doesn't provide a lot of conflict, doesn't provide a lot of danger. So I'm going to keep it in the C category. I don't think that's too controversial in terms of how that goes. The Compsognathus. The Compsognathus is a really interesting little dinosaur. Because it's so small, it doesn't actually pose much threat, but obviously at the beginning of the second movie, poses that big threat when it kind of attacks the girl, but it doesn't even kill the girl. They don't even get there. So I would say that this is a solid D, probably the least threatening of the dinosaurs, and probably the only one I would consider personally adorable. So, Parasaurolophus. My favorite dinosaur design, like my favorite dinosaur in general, would be the Parasaurolophus. I think that they're just interesting creatures. They look incredible. But the Parasaurolophus I would consider very low tier on the interest scale. I would consider them above the Compsognathus just because it's there and it's something else. But overall, in terms of conflict in the movie, doesn't really add much to it. The Indoraptor. God, I hated the choices they made with this guy. I feel like it's an interesting concept, but not very well done. I feel like the goofiness of the second half of Fallen Kingdom takes away from the impact of the first half. Like the fact that the island is getting destroyed and things are happening, I feel like that's more engaging than Dinosaur Claw goes over little girl's bed like a scary movie villain. So even though this is a very powerful dinosaur, I would keep it on the low end just because I don't find it that interesting. Pterodons. Any of the Pterodons I would consider in the higher ranks. In the middle ranks because they offer flight. Like, flight is something that doesn't come up very often in Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, but when it does, it's very important. Because when it does, it's interesting, it's engaging, and it just adds that extra level of threat. It's something they don't do very often. They've only really done it with Jurassic World 3 and Fallen Kingdom again, just with that giants, or Jurassic World, obviously, where they have that scene where all the, winged guys are going up. The pterodactyl is more interesting. This other winged dinosaur doesn't look as interesting, not as big, not as threatening, therefore not as quality in terms of the other ones. Steractococ, can't remember what this one's called. The Strachey. I always call them the Strachey. Doesn't do much in the series, kind of just lays there, but is a more interesting threat. The fact that like the Triceratops as well, plays an important role. They don't do a lot with them though. There's not a lot that happens with the Triceratops overall. So, have to keep that in mind in terms of how the series uses them as well. Spinosaurus, obviously the star of Jurassic World 3. Good design, threatening. They do take that idea and run with it really quickly. I would say that there is something about them that's very interesting and engaging, but there is something about them that's already kind of goofy. The way that their snout is longer, the way that they have it portrayed, it's not quite as interesting as a lot of the other dinosaurs designs that they have in this series. Stegosaurus, really good scene in Jurassic Park 2, where they're studying them. I liked seeing them being studied. I feel like the Stegosaurus is very iconic for a reason. I would consider this slightly higher than the other ones in terms of interest and what they add to the series. So that would be kind of why I would keep it in high C. Tyrannosaurus Rex. In the first movie, that's an iconic scene. That is a great part of the movie. That dinosaur kicks butt. So I feel like it's only safe to go up high. And finally, the Raptor, I think, is probably the real star of Jurassic Park. I feel like they build up not just the dinosaur itself in terms of like threat level and everything, but they actually go a long way with it. They have a lot of fun with it, and it's one of the few dinosaurs that not only gets development as it goes on. This was kind of the movie that put the Velociraptor on the map, and suddenly everyone loves Velociraptors. So, case in point, myself as well. Any carnivore, any meat eater, I think this is a Baryonyx. Anyone's going to get like a higher level of interest just because it adds that threat level, which isn't there with all the herbivores. This, I believe, is a Diplodocus. The Diplodocus has a little bit more visual interest because its neck is so long and skinny, and the tail is so long and skinny. I feel like that's really cool and very interesting. Is it a Brontosaurus or Brachiosaurus? I can't remember. But this one, just the sheer impact of seeing this dinosaur for the first time. Like, I've never wanted Jurassic Park to be in 3D except for this moment. Like, that would be really, really cool to see. Imagine sitting in the theaters, in like an IMAX theater, and you look up and see this. People would pay to see that. Just that one scene in the movie. It'd be great. I think we would all love it. So if you ever want to make money, do that. We'll pay. It's the only movie I think we can all be like, you know what? Maybe this one scene. Maybe this one time. Let's do a 3D thing. You never know. Maybe it'll happen. Dead dinosaur, little interest. Ankylosaurus. Heavily armored dinosaur. Very cool, very interesting design, very threatening because it's an herbivore, but it can still kick your butt. So, I would keep that in the middle ground. Definitely interesting, definitely one that you want to see. but not one that I think you're like dying to see. I believe this is Carnotaur. Carnotaurs, again, get the edge. I don't remember this as well in the movie, so I'll keep this one a little bit lower. The Dilophosaurus. The Dilophosaurus is excellently done. I feel like what they do with it with Nedry, what they do with it with the actual frill, and no one actually thinks they spit poison, but maybe they did. We don't know. This could be anything. So I would consider this one high up on the list. I believe this is an Albertosaurus. Again, carnivore, gets the edge. I would consider that in the middle ground. And the Pachycephalosaurus might actually be one of the few items that I actually considered stronger in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom than the previous time we saw it, because the previous time we saw it, it was just being tied up and taken away. This time it does something. Is it super interesting? Not necessarily, but I think it's slightly more engaging than other ones. So this is my ranking of the Jurassic World dinosaurs, Jurassic Park dinosaurs. Let me know what you think. Which ones did I miss? What names did I get wrong? Because I guarantee you I got at least some of these wrong. And overall, which dinosaur do you not want to see breaking up next to you when you wake up in the morning? I will see you next time, and enjoy.